Have you ever wondered if your memories have been altered? Have you ever doubted whether your own memories might have been tampered with? Do you believe that someone could manipulate your emotions without you even realizing it? A psychological experiment called the invisible hand will take you deep into the mysteries of the human mind, uncovering truths we often overlook. In the early 2000s, a psychological experiment led by Alison Gopnik shocked the academic world. Known as the invisible hand experiment, it aimed to explore how children understand the mental states of others. The setup seemed simple. Children were brought into a room where they observed an adult attempting to retrieve an object using an invisible hand. In this experiment, children were brought into a room where they observed an adult attempting to retrieve an object, such as a toy or a small item placed on a table. However, instead of reaching for it normally, the adult used a hidden mechanism to interact with the object. The adult placed their hand behind a screen or within a false sleeve, making it look like their hand wasn't moving at all. Meanwhile, a mechanical or hidden extension, such as a prosthetic or a rod operated by another unseen person, actually moved the object. To the child, it appeared as though the object was being influenced by an invisible hand. Even though they couldn't see the adult's real hand moving, children were still able to understand the adult's intention. For example, that they were trying to grab the toy. The surprising part, the children could accurately predict what was going to happen next, even without seeing any visible movement. This suggested that young children don't just rely on direct visual cues, but also develop an ability to infer hidden intentions from context. From a psychological standpoint, the invisible hand experiment highlights the early development of human empathy. Through observation and reasoning, children can read the mental states of others, an ability that forms the foundation of social interaction. This experiment not only showcases children's cognitive abilities, but also provides valuable insights into how adults can improve their social interactions by observing and understanding others. This experiment later became the famous modern rubber hand experiment. In this experiment, one person places their real hand behind a cover, while another person stimulates feelings on both a rubber hand and the real hand. The goal is to make the participant believe that the rubber hand is their own. Subsequently, the person administering the experiment pretends to smash the fake hand with a hammer. Despite the lack of actual impact on the real hand, the participant's brain registers the sensation of being smashed on the fake hand. More recent research by Elizabeth Loftus has further expanded on this theory. Loftus's experiments demonstrated that human memory is far less stable than we assume and is highly susceptible to external influence. Her findings show that with the right suggestions and guidance, people can even implant false memories into their own minds. One of the most well-documented examples of memory change happens in eyewitness testimony. Studies have shown that people's recollections of crimes can be highly unreliable, even when they believe they are telling the truth. Participants watched a short video of a car accident. Afterward, they were asked a question. How fast were the cars going when they hit or smashed or collided or contacted each other? The results showed that changing a single word in the question affected their memories. Those who heard smashed estimated a higher speed, approximately 41 miles per hour. Those who heard hit estimated a lower speed, approximately 34 miles per hour. A week later, participants who heard smashed were more likely to falsely remember broken glass at the scene, even though there was none. This study revealed that small changes in wording can reshape how people remember events. especially in high-stakes situations like courtrooms. How common is this problem? The Innocence Project found that over 70% of wrongful convictions later overturned by DNA evidence were due to faulty eyewitness testimony. This shows just how fragile and unreliable memory can be, especially under pressure. Another example of memory change is how people can develop entirely false memories of things that never happened. In the 1990s, Elizabeth Loftus conducted the famous Lost in the Mall experiment to demonstrate this. Participants were told about 4 childhood events, 3 of which were real and 1 that was fake. The fake story was that they had been lost in a shopping mall as a child, cried, and were later rescued by a kind stranger. Even though this event never actually happened, about 25% of participants not only believed it, but also added details when recalling it. Some remembered what the rescuer looked like, what they felt at the time, or even what the mall smelled like. This study proved that with just a little suggestion, people can form vivid, detailed memories of things that never happened, which has major implications for therapy, law enforcement, and even personal identity. Going back to the story of the invisible hand, we learnt that children can see through people's intentions. Interestingly, in spiritualism, intention is also stressed as the most important thing for our action. The motive behind an action is considered more important than the action itself. This perspective emphasizes that the purity of one's heart determines the true value of their deeds. Imagine a person who volunteers at a charity event, not out of genuine compassion, but to network for personal business opportunities. While the action, volunteering, is positive, the underlying intention is self-serving. This diminishes the moral value of the deed, as the primary motive is personal gain, rather than altruism. Consider a doctor in a war-torn region who must choose to save one patient over another due to limited resources. The action involves making a heartbreaking decision, but the intention is to maximize the number of lives saved. Here, the benevolent intention behind a painful choice is what holds moral weight. The widow's offering. All religions abide by this law, and we can see traces of it in religious texts, emphasizing that motive matters most, just as in spiritualism. Unfortunately, this idea has been altered and corrupted throughout history, often due to human greed and external influences. An example would be taken from the Bible. In the Gospel of Mark, Jesus observes people giving money to the temple treasury. Many wealthy individuals give large sums, but a poor widow contributes 2 small copper coins. Jesus remarks, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. They all gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on." Here, despite the small monetary value, the widow's offering is deemed more honorable because it was given with sincere faith and sacrifice, highlighting that true generosity is measured by intention, not magnitude. Due to corruption, history has seen people buying their ticket to heaven from the Pope while committing countless crimes. This is utterly ridiculous if they truly understood that physical wealth means nothing in the spiritual realm, which is more like a simulation or a game. Would anyone care if they made billions of dollars in a simulation game like Grand Theft Auto? Surely no sane person would. Likewise, no priest, pastor, or pope has the authority to grant access to heaven. That is determined by the spiritual realm itself, where your intentions matter far more than physical wealth. If a person consistently does good with pure intentions, they will naturally develop a habit of kindness. Over time, their heart will long to continue this path. drawing them toward others who share the same desire, eventually leading to what we might call heaven. The same principle applies in reverse. Here, good means having a willingness to sacrifice for the benefit of others, while bad refers to selfishness and the willingness to sacrifice others for personal gain. These examples underscore the principle that intentions define the ethical value of actions. A benevolent act performed with selfish motives loses its virtue, while a difficult decision made with good intentions retains its moral integrity. Understanding empaths. We know that children are often naturally empathic, likely because they haven't matured enough to behave like adults. They tend to listen to their inner voices rather than relying solely on what they see, as some adults do while conforming to social standards. So if you want to be an empath or train your empathic ability so you can understand others more, here's how. An empath is someone who is highly attuned to the emotions and energies of others. They possess an exceptional ability to sense and often internalize the feelings of those around them. Characteristics of empaths. Deep sensitivity. Empaths feel emotions intensely and can be deeply affected by the moods of others. Strong intuition. They often have a keen sense of understanding without the need for explicit communication. Absorption of emotions. Empaths may absorb the emotional states of others, sometimes leading to emotional overload. Desire to help. They are naturally inclined to assist others, driven by genuine compassion. Pros of being an empath: enhanced compassion, ability to deeply connect with and support others. Intuitive insight, often able to sense underlying issues that others might miss. Creativity. Many empaths channel their heightened sensitivity into artistic and creative pursuits. Cons of being an empath. Emotional overwhelm. Risk of becoming overwhelmed by absorbing others' emotions. Energy drain. Constantly sensing others' feelings can lead to fatigue. Difficulty setting boundaries. Struggle to distinguish between their own emotions and those of others. Developing empathic abilities. While some individuals are naturally more empathic, it's possible to cultivate greater empathy through intentional practices. Mindfulness meditation. Regular meditation can heighten awareness of one's own emotions, making it easier to distinguish them from the emotions of others. Active listening. Fully engaging in conversations without judgment fosters deeper understanding. Emotional reflection. Taking time to reflect on daily interactions can enhance emotional insight. Setting healthy boundaries. Learning to protect one's own energy is crucial for maintaining emotional well-being. The two experiments, the invisible hand experiment and the exploration of children's natural empathy, reveal profound insights into the human ability to understand intention. Just as children can sense the hidden motives of others, spiritual teachings emphasize that intention is what truly matters, far beyond external actions. The idea that good intentions hold more weight than the physical act itself resonates deeply with spiritualism, showing us that our motives shape our true nature. Whether it's helping others out of genuine compassion or recognizing the deeper motivations behind our actions, it's clear that what is in the heart matters more than what meets the eye. As we reflect on these lessons from both psychological research and spiritual wisdom, we can see that our intentions, much like the empathy children naturally express, guide us toward a more compassionate and meaningful life. By aligning our actions with our purest motives, we move closer to understanding the deeper truths of existence, transcending the limitations of physical reality and embracing the power of the heart. So, next time you act, ask yourself, what is the true intention behind it. For it is this intention that ultimately shapes our path, both in this world and the spiritual realm.